Hello and happy Monday to all out there. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, to Chris and Ray already in the chat. We love you guys. Elephant in the room. Happy Mopar. Hey, happy day after Eagles win. Yes, that was enjoyable last night. Saquon Barkley is good at football, and I'm pretty sure he could probably make a Phillies active 40-man roster. I think Saquon had some baseball scholarship offers as well. So why not? I mean, could he be worse than Garrett Stubbs?
Nope. I would take a chance on him.
I honestly think he could probably be better than Garrett Stubbs if he trained for a year.
The sheer determination, great athleticism, speed, quick agility, everything that he has. Yeah, put him in the lineup. Anywhere, doesn't matter. Definitely better than Garrett Stubbs.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring Garrett Stubbs into this, but he did just get another year contract, so he is here. Saquon just a freak.
Listen, I might be the biggest Garrett Stubbs hater on the planet, and I don't know why this man is catching strays at 11 o'clock on a Monday morning. That is not fair to him at all.
Yeah, it wasn't really fair to him. I'm just happy about Saquon, and happy Victory Monday to all out there. But this is the Phillies show, so we'll talk Phillies baseball. And Garrett Stubbs is in the news a little bit there as a lot of the tenders came down. Tenders. I literally can't say the word tender and not think of chicken.
I know. You're welcome. You're welcome. I've always thought this, and I'm glad I can share this with everybody else. Like, how do you talk about tender deadlines and we're not talking about some delicious, crispy chicken tenders?
All that stuff came out Friday after the show, so we'll get into that. There's some Juan Soto updates. Nick Castellanos may be on the block. Garrett Crochet is back in the rumor mill. And, of course, Tyler has to torture us with some random Philly trivia today as well. But let's start with the tender offers that were reached on Friday, or offered on Friday, I should say. Alec Bohm, Edmundo Sosa, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, and Ranger Suarez. Absolutely no surprises at all there. We'll see how many of these go to arbitration. I would imagine 2 do. Just throwing darts here. But the numbers they stand to make: Bohm 8.1 million, Sosa 2.5, Stott 3.5, Marsh an even 3, and Ranger, the big winner out of this group, standing to make 8.9 million. All seem pretty fair to me. Bohm might have a case as an all-star to get a little bit more in arbitration. Ranger missed a lot of time. You know, I wonder if that one's just kind of accepted. And the other guys all seem fair. I mean, Marsh and Stott, you know, probably took a little bit of a step backwards developmentally this year. So, you know, no surprises Friday with the tenders news. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no. Honestly, there were no surprises between the 5 arbitration eligible players, the non-tender contract for Austin Hayes, and then Stubbs and Jose Ruiz agreeing to terms on a contract for 2025. I do think these are those moves that it's just like the logistics, you know, the little loose ends that you have to check. You're done. Tender deadline check. And then especially knowing that you have now the opportunity with the 5 arbitration eligible players, as you're talking about, Jamie, some conversations that will be had. They do have some time. January 9th, I believe is the deadline. So there's some time before they have to reach, January 9th to reach their agreements with those guys. So we saw this last season. And with the way that Alec Bohm alone, as well as Ranger Suarez, played this past season, you expect it's going to take some time for them to work through some conversations. Not to mention a guy like Bohm's in the midst of a lot of different trade rumors, the few that we have heard from the Phillies. So none of this was a surprise to me. It was kind of like, all right, got some of those details out the way. Bye-bye Austin Hayes, and let's move on.
So the first thing that I want to do in this 2-part piece right here is give this show some kudos, because I believe we were pretty on top of the super under the radar, nobody talking about it, minor league deal with an invite camp signing of Jose Ruiz last season, where the three of us said, if you get anything from this guy, he might break the team with camp, he might not, but if you get anything from this guy, it could end up being a decent move because the stuff is playable. It was just a matter of, figuring things out and finding a role for him. I think he exceeded all of our expectations. To get a, high-end, low leverage, so this is going to sound strange. Bear with me. High-end, low leverage, low-end, middle leverage type of reliever. So like the best of the low leverage, the, bottom tier of the middle leverage guys for the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they did last season. And now for $1.2 million this season. I think it ended up being one of the sneaky good signings of the 2023 offseason or heading into the 2024 season for this Phillies team, because he ended up being a pretty serviceable middle reliever for the second half of the season. I know there was a little bit of a rough patch early in the year, but his middle of the season numbers from like June through August were spectacular. And they relied upon him pretty heavily. And to get him back for $1 million and some change, I think is a really good move for this team who, obviously there's going to be turnover in the bullpen. Jeff Hoffman, Carlos Estevez still remain up in the air. The likelihood is you're not bringing both back. You may bring one back. But to be able to kind of solidify the lower leverage portions of your bullpen, and they're going to still probably look to bring somebody else in to be another arm, perhaps a lefty of a similar situation where it's a spring training invite with a minor league deal, to pair with a Jose Alvarado at the lower portions of the bullpen, to pair with the Tanner Banks at the lower portions of the bullpen. But I think Dave Dombrowski and his crew, who have received a lot of flack for their trade deadline moves, and probably rightfully so, deserve a little bit of credit for the under the radar signing that was Jose Ruiz last year.
It's a good point to bring up, actually. And I want to just add to, I'm sorry, Jamie, to cut you off. I wanted to add to that because when you look at Jose Ruiz last season as a non-roster invitee to spring training, and I remember throughout the course of the season at times us thinking when somebody comes back, Jose Ruiz is going to be, on the chopping block. And he continued to fight for his role. He continued to fight for a spot, stayed on the team. And you talk about how he got better as the season went on. Overall, in his 52 appearances, for a guy that did not allow an earned run in 40 of those 52 appearances, and then after the All-Star break, had a 1.99 ERA in 25 games, in a time where the Phillies went down. A lot of statistics, a lot of the players had a regression after the All-Star break, and Jose Ruiz is one that got better. And even when he was put out there in the NLDS in a situation, gave up the home run to Pete Alonso, we remember that and kind of wondered, wait, why is Jose Ruiz coming out now? I think the game was like 2-0 at that time. It was a 2-run score. And he handled every time we doubted him, to your point, Tyler. Jose Ruiz was one that quietly did enough. He didn't hurt you. He didn't drastically help you. But I think for a cheap deal like that, solid move. And I agree with the decision. We knew Garrett Stubbs was not going anywhere. There was no expectation of him moving in any capacity, except maybe now regressing from that backup catcher to maybe hopefully one day being that number 3 catcher. But overall, I feel like a lot of these moves just make sense of we're on the same page with the Phillies front office and what these moves, none of them are surprises at all. Go ahead,
I think the one thing with Jose Ruiz too, like we knew what his role was for a bulk of the season. And there was only twice throughout the majority of the season where I questioned why Jose Ruiz was entering the game in any given capacity. And the fact that I can go back and pinpoint them means that it's a very small number of opportunities where it was a questionable decision. As you brought up, the playoff decision to bring him in. At the time, maybe we were kind of questioning, why is Jose Ruiz entering this game in this spot? But that was his role throughout the entirety of the season. Down a pair of runs, down 3 runs, down 4 runs in that 5th and 6th inning role. That's where Jose Ruiz did enter the game. The only other time was the Phillies had an opportunity to win a game against the Yankees in July. And you go back and you think about it, like, who the heck cares about that game, looking back, right? Because it gets bogged down in 162 plus the postseason. An opportunity to win a game against the Yankees in a day game in July, and he brought Jose Ruiz in, and it was a poor decision. But other than that, Jose Ruiz found a role and for the most part thrived in said role. I can't say enough good things about the move that they did, the signing that they did to bring in Ruiz, especially considering how cheap he was and the expectations were basically zero. He exceeded all of our expectations.
Well, Tyler, there's some big bonuses involved with Jose Ruiz next year. You mentioned that $1.2 million is a steal. I don't know if John Middleton can afford this though. Ruiz gets a $20,000 bonus for 30 games pitched and a $25,000 bonus for 40 games pitched. So he's getting pretty expensive. If you don't get Juan Soto, it's probably because of Jose Ruiz's bonuses.
Can I get a $20,000 raise for showing up 30 times? Is that what
Seriously.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
I mean, it's much better than paying $6 million in the deal that possibly Austin Hayes was going to be projected to get. So much cheaper, and that is quite some. I agree with you, Tyler. Why do we not have these bonuses in our everyday lives? I love a bonus like that. Every 30 shows, we got to maybe raise this with Vince and some others, but yeah, it is wild when you hear those types of things as incentives for a guy like Jose Ruiz to continue with the surprisingly consistent season he had last year.
The only difference is their $20,000 bonus would be like a $20 bonus for us.
Yeah, which I'll take. I mean, a little free Chick-fil-A or something.
Yes, good money. We can buy, buy some chicken tenders.
So speaking of food and tenders, you guys bringing something to the table tomorrow for Friendsgiving?
I'm not gonna get to stop working.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, me either. I'm gonna go buy. I'm not making my contribution. I'm buying my contribution.
Yeah, I actually forgot that's tomorrow.
Well, that's what I'm warning you.
I got time. I got a little less than 24 hours to figure something out.
Last year I made Brussels sprouts. This year I'm just gonna buy something.
Last year I made a great ham.
Oh, that's right. You were the ham lady last year.
I made the ham for the office. I love a good glazed, seasoned, perfectly ham. I will not be bringing a ham this year because I forgot. So I will be possibly buying something or bringing something.
I have a ham take.
You like pizza?
I have a ham take. It's much better in a sandwich than it is standalone.
I love sliced glazed ham, not lunch meat ham.
It's just okay.
Like
no. I'm saying like the thick glazed ham that is better in a sandwich than it is as a standalone.
What? No,
with some mustard and some bread to accompany it.
I love to mix my food. So when you get that glazed, perfectly seasoned ham with some mashed potatoes or some potato salad or some greens or a little bit of all that, and then maybe even sop it up with some of your
but now you have to add
rolls.
Things to it.
No,
you're basically making a sandwich already. It's not a great standalone meat. It's okay. It's
a great standalone. It actually might be top 2 and not number 2 as a standalone meat.
What?
You're not eating ham correctly, JB. We went over this last year with our Thanksgiving
number
food
1 standalone.
It might
meat?
be like the Thanksgiving ham as a standalone. This is the
most salacious thing you've ever said.
Not in a sandwich. I'm talking mix it again. Collard greens, mashed potatoes. I don't even like mac and cheese, but people sop it up with that too. Like you combine it with the food. Forget the sandwich. You got to get all the grease and all that sopped up in your bite of your fork, and you just eat it together. I think we should test this theory.
Mickey's with me. Ham is terrible. It's like I'm taking chicken over ham. I'm taking turkey over ham. Obviously,
I didn't say it was the best. Okay. I mean the best standalone in terms of like sandwich versus by itself. Now, if we're talking best overall meats, whole different conversation.
Yeah, ham's like 7th in the power rankings.
No, it's not that low. Ham is definitely top. If we're chicken, turkey.
Yeah, let's get into it, Renee. We got all off season. Let's break it down. What's
chicken,
your number 1 meat?
And ham. What else do you put up there? Sausage, meatballs, beef,
veal, pork. Brisket, but that's pork or beef. Ham is like and every other part of the pig is delicious. It's just the ham is okay. It's not like special.
Wow.
Bacon's better. Pork belly's better.
Okay, bacon's a different. I mean, you technically can eat ham for breakfast too, but ham as a dinner meat.
Canada, like
if we're talking dinner meats, not breakfast meats, because bacon is my favorite for sure. It is light turkey. It's not even the
best part of the pig.
For dinner, it is light turkey meat. Fried chicken and ham are top 3
over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
Oh my gosh, I'm confused. I don't even know. So, if you had to eat one meat for the rest of your life, what is it? Beef?
Yeah.
What?
Beef. It's what for dinner. ground meat. You can make meatballs. You can make steaks. You can make burgers. Come on. It's not even close.
Okay, I love steak. It's definitely like my favorite food.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is you're not supposed to eat that much red meat, so you could die at the end of the year. But, you know, if I had the choice.
If you're invincible and you can eat and meat the rest of your life and you don't have to worry about death, okay, fair, very fair. But steak is a different type of meat. If we're talking Thanksgiving, I don't eat steak on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, steak. We're talking about the cow. We're talking about the animal here.
Holiday meats here. Holiday season. Ham honestly, in my life, the ham is up there with the turkey. It's just as important. Oh, yeah. And in fact, we might have some chicken at Thanksgiving, but it's a turkey ham meat season.
Oof. My cousin Tim gets MVP of Thanksgiving. He texted yesterday, and we'll get back to the Phillies in a second, but I get really excited by meats.
Well, Thanksgiving's a couple days away, so
yeah. It is a holiday week, and Wednesday we're going to be at the Reading Terminal Market. So if you need to buy some meats or some pies or some cheeses or any of that deliciousness that the Reading Terminal Market has to offer, you can swing by and see us. We're actually going to be on a different time that day. I believe it's 1:30 or is it 1?
I think it's 1.
We keep having this problem. I don't know either. Yeah. I think it is 1.
We should probably look that up at some point. I think Tyler's right.
I think it's 1 o'clock. Time our show is on Wednesday.
Yeah. So come by the Reading Terminal Market, say hello, give a go Birds, go Phils, a high five, get your Thanksgiving last minute needs, have a beer with us at Molly Malloy's, and we'll have a good time. I forget what I was going to say.
That ham is better than turkey and chicken.
That's
and
definitely
beef.
Not what I was going to say.
This time of year, ham is up there. Okay, turkey's a weird one because I feel like we only really eat turkey heavily at this time of year. Like,
my cousin
Mariah
Tim,
Carey.
MVP of Thanksgiving. He texted yesterday,
I
think I'm going to buy a smoker. And he is smoking an additional turkey. He bought a smoker. So we're going to have the traditional turkey on Thursday, and then we're smoking one. I'm excited for that.
Overrated. I've done that. Been there, done that. Had the turducken, which is like the turkey duck chicken. Had a smoked turkey.
Duck over ham, and I don't even like duck.
Keep your turkey simple. Keep your turkey
Cornish
simple.
game hen. I'm going Cornish game hen over ham.
Oh, that's actually really good though.
Cornish game hen's really good.
Very good, very good. But I do just feel like turkey and ham, this is their time. It's them. It's Mariah Carey. Like, this is their season. They know this is when we are buying them. We're expecting big things from them. Meat. Wait, what?
Turkey's the best lunch meat.
Like, if you're making a lunch meat sandwich, it's ham. Mm-hmm. Do you eat your turkey with mayonnaise or mustard?
Both.
On a sandwich. Wait, together?
Yeah, one side is mayo, one side's mustard.
Ew.
What do you mean, ooh? Have you ever eaten an aioli?
No. I actually like it with mustard. I think it's really good with mustard.
Renee, you have so much to learn in this world.
No, you do.
Stick by my side. I'll teach you the ways. All right, let's take a break here. All this,
by the way, random thought while we're talking food. Let's get one more random thought out the way.
Yeah.
Twinning.
All this food talk makes me think of some of our friends here at PHLY. And I know what I'm going to be cracking open when friends and family are around the Thanksgiving table this Thursday. A cold, delicious Miller Lite. And you know why it's the perfect Thanksgiving accompaniment? Because you can drink a bunch of them and not get that bloated, gross, full belly beer feeling. You need room for turkey and stuffing and cranberry and definitely not ham. All the stuff in there. So Miller Lite is the perfect buddy to a Thanksgiving Day meal. Friends and family are around, and Miller Lite since 1975 is the best. And they haven't changed anything. They just held on to what matters most, got rid of everything else you don't need. And when friends and family are there and laughs are being had and memories are being made, a cold Miller Lite always hits the spot, especially at the Thanksgiving Day table. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. A light beer that tastes like a light beer should. The original light beer since 1975. And you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Phillies. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Well, first we had a very interesting food take from you, Jamie, and then we got the word perfidy. But if you
Correct.
Hey, there's a place you'd like to go to make the right choices without any second guessing yourself anytime. You don't need to worry about words, food, or anything else because Rite Aid always has the right choices for you, especially when it comes time to be healthy. Because this time of year, as we're negotiating and discussing our favorite foods, our favorite dishes, your go-to first plate, you want to make sure you can actually enjoy that moment, right? That way, when you stick your fork and sop it up with some mashed potatoes and ham and turkey and collard greens and cranberry sauce, that you can do it healthy. And so with Rite Aid, they have all that you need to stay healthy to protect you and your family. This time of year, it's getting colder outside. We've got a lot of colds and viruses going around, the flu, pneumonia, different things, COVID, and you want to protect from that. And the CDC now recommends for pneumonia vaccines alone, adults age 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine. It was previously 65 plus. The CDC has actually lowered the age recommendation because millions of people do get pneumonia every year, according to the CDC. And the respiratory illness varies. I myself had it, and it was not too bad, but not too mild either. There's a wide range of symptoms. There's a wide range of experiences and complications that people can deal with. So you want to make sure that you're staying ahead of it, being proactive. And the vaccine is one of the best ways to keep yourself healthy. And it's usually no cost with insurance. So with Rite Aid today, whether you're looking for a flu vaccine, COVID vaccine, pneumonia, or maybe something else, it's easy. Getting vaccinated can be easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And if you're unsure which vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. So stop by your local Rite Aid today. 'Tis the season to stay healthy so you can be jolly and enjoy all the food. Fa la 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 la. They forgot that line in the song. But just to remind you, stay healthy, be proactive with our friends over at Rite Aid.
What, I'm catching shrapnel for saying perfidy? I slept like 3 hours. I had to get 2 girls out the door this morning on 3 hours of sleep. I'm not even down my first coffee yet. Clearly, I meant perfectly. Perfidy? Whatever. K-Red. Damn.
I had to make sure that you did not let that slide. You corrected yourself very cleanly, but it was still a funny word. I chuckled as I heard you say perfidy.
Me and Tyler are struggling out here in these streets today.
Jamie, between you and I, we got a full night's sleep last night.
Wait, K-Red, that's a word? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I'm leaving the show.
Oh my God, it is. Deceitfulness, untrustworthiness. You guys are perfidy. Trying to roast me for words. That's not the context I meant to use it in, but it's a word, damn it. I do look very perfidy. Thank you, Mopar. I don't trust my coworkers. That's why I have this look of perfidy today.
Hey, you would accidentally make up a word and it'd be an accidental real word.
Well, somebody, I use the word surmise sometimes, which I know is not surmise or summarize. It is actually a word that dates back to like 1500s Old English. It's not a current word, but somebody was like, "Can you tell Jamie not to use the word surmise? It's not a real word." And I was like, "Actually, buddy, Billy Shakespeare disagrees. All right, pal." So, yeah.
Quoting Shakespeare.
No, I just.
That's your support.
Actually, one of my favorite classes in high school was a poetry of Shakespeare class. So
okay, with the random fun facts.
All right, yeah, nerd. You were the nerd in school. I just enjoyed Shakespeare class. In school. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I can...
math. I was doing a math challenge this weekend. I thought of you guys because I was like, I'm really good at mental math. So I was.
You know who I can safely say wasn't a nerd in high school?
Tell us, Jamie.
Nick Castellanos. There's no way that guy was a nerd in high school.
No.
And according to Matt Gelb of The Athletic, Nick Castellanos, who is currently vacationing with his 2 sons and wife in Japan, which I'm incredibly jealous of because it looks awesome. And
Did
Japan is very.
Find that information out?
No, it's just I follow Jess Castellanos on Instagram. So if that's called stalking, then I guess I am. I was just I want to go to Japan. The pictures look awesome. So anyway, imagine being across the world on the other side of it with your family on a nice vacation, and then Matt Gelb from The Athletic drops the hammer that you're on the trading block. Kind of probably puts a little bit of a damper on your vacation, I would think, to a degree. But Nick Castellanos, according to Matt Gelb, is on the trade block. Probably Now, there was a hypothetical thrown out that I could see making sense in our Discord this weekend, but I'm out on it. If you were to get rid of Nick Castellanos and say Taijuan Walker, who both have 2 years remaining.
No, don't do it.
I'm out, Tyler.
I know where you're going with this. Don't do it.
Wait, you got to finish it. Let him cook.
Tyler, his spidey senses are already tingling.
Let him cook, Tyler.
This is not my theory. I don't even want it. I've told you I'm out on Mike Trout many, many times. But the idea of trading Nick Castellanos and Taijuan Walker was proposed because if Mike Trout were to ask out of Anaheim, which he does have a no trade clause still, people, that's important to the context of this conversation. Part of the financial relief of the Trout contract would be getting Taijuan Walker and Nick Castellanos off the book. And I think Nick Castellanos is fairly paid. I don't think that's an overpay at all. But that was proposed. Would you? Because I would not. I can't count on Mike Trout to play another. Basically, you're an even wash. So Mike Trout's number is $37 million over the next 2 years. Taijuan Walker and Nick Castellanos equate to $37 million over the next 2 years. So it's a 2-year financial wash, but then you're left with still 5 or 6 years at 37 per remaining for Mike Trout, and he's not going to get healthier.
So, much like I mentioned,
so your financial relief from the Angels is taking those two, basically, is what it works out to.
Okay. So much like I mentioned that tis the season for Mariah Carey to thaw out. Tis the season for Mike Trout rumors to thaw out as well. Because in the offseason, it'll never go away. In the offseason, we often get the Mike Trout conversation. But the reality is, for Mike Trout, how many games did Nick Castellanos play this year? Every single one.
162.
Correct. Mike Trout in the last 2 seasons alone has played less games than Nick Castellanos played in all of 2024. So for the let's forget money. Let's forget contracts. Let's even get rid of stats. Because you know what? I don't care how good you are. And Mike Trout was the generational talent that early on in his career, was the face of baseball. Everybody was talking about Mr. Millville, Mike Trout. I understand how incredible he was in his peak when he was healthy. But the key is Mike Trout cannot stay healthy. I know John Peace, you're mentioning in the chat. What's the over-under that he can even play 100 games the rest of his career? I feel bad. He's only 33 years old. And the most games he played was in 2022 where he played 119. Since 2019, he hasn't played more than 82 games in a single season. Outside of that 2022 season. So we're talking about in the last 5 seasons, he's only had 1 year that he was able to eclipse 100 games. And the next closest under that is 82. And then from there, it drops down in like the 50s and the 30s. So I wouldn't take a gamble on him because he is an old 33, unfortunately. He is also, unfortunately, a guy that it's been so many different, every body part. He's hurt everything at this point. You're not going to expect him to be healthy. We're not talking about like a Chris Sale resurgence of health in Atlanta. We're talking about a guy that this is it. That I don't even imagine he's going to play more than I hope he does. I would love to see it, but more than 80 games ever. He cannot stay healthy. So for the sole fact you can rely on Nick Castellanos as a 162 game piece that was actually your best player at stretches of this season, why would you want to move on from him for a guy that you can't even get out there for a third of the season? Again, 53 games in 2020, 36 games in 2021. Okay, 2020, 2021, we get it. 82 games in 2023 and just 29 this season. And it was so heartbreaking to see the injuries that he continued to rack up this season to not even be able to play. But that's not more incentive to go get him. That's more incentive to stay away from him. I am rooting for Mike Trout from a distance. Keep him on the other coast or keep him anywhere outside of the Phillies because great guy. So sad that he has not been able to amount to whatever, projections we had from him in his career. But the Phillies are not the answer for him, and he's not the answer for the Phillies.
2021, 2023, 2024. 3 seasons, 155 games total played.
Correct.
For $37 million at this point, I cannot invest that kind of financial stipulation, even if there is an offset of a contract or multiple contracts to kind of balance the two out. Understanding that Mike Trout has only played one relatively full season, and then that's probably the thing to look at. His last full season was 119 games. Now, granted, he hit 40 home runs in 119 games with a slugging percentage at 630 and an OPS just 1 point shy of 1 for an entirety of a season. It was an outstanding season in 119 games. He was electric in those games. But that's a full season at this point for Mike Trout. And I don't know if you're going to get 119 games from a guy who's going to make $37 million when 3 of the other 4 seasons surrounding it, he played 155 games total for an average of 51 or 52 and a half games per season. I think that, and then on top of it, as Jamie, as you mentioned, yes, the 37 would offset for the next 2 years, but then you're stuck. You're still saddled with $148 million in the final 4 years of his deal when he's going to be 36, 37, 38, and 39 years old. I just think that numerically speaking, it's going to hinder you more than it's going to help you in the final 4 years of his career, specifically considering the fact that the Phillies are going to be an aging team by that point, where you're going to have an older Bryce Harper, an older Trey Turner. Now, granted, you may get an influx of youth at some point with Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, if Justin Crawford's still here, Starlin Caba, whatever combination of those guys end up being, viable major league options, you may get an influx of youth in that capacity. But your big contract guys are going to be well into their mid and upper echelon 30s. Adding a guy, and you guys know I don't like to have the conversation of injury prone, but adding a guy who has really struggled to stay on the field in 3 of the last 4 seasons to his 39 seasons.
He's injury plagued.
I don't think it's a viable option for them.
So
he's
so
a
injury
walking
prone is a
definition
thing.
of injury prone.
So injury prone's a thing.
I said that before.
I thought you said injury prone isn't a thing. There's things.
Oh,
that
I
they
say
can do
that. I don't believe injury
prone.
prone.
No, I think he's injury prone.
All right, I
saw him
be hours. I thought it was you, not Tyler. Jeez, you guys.
But I said that. No, I was the one that said you can do things to avoid and minimize injuries. So I think you can be injury plagued, but I think there are also ways to minimize picking up injuries. That's my hot. That's the seat I sit on. And I stand beside that.
Mike Trout is he's Mr. Glass from Unbroken, or Unbreakable. The reality with Mike Trout is he's not a center fielder anymore. He's probably a DH in the very near future, and we kind of have DH on lockdown. Now it takes you back to Nick Castellanos.
And here's the thing, too, Jamie. I would rather another team prove us wrong. You know what I mean?
I don't want anything to do with it.
I don't want to take the gamble.
If a team acquires Mike Trout and he spends the next 2 seasons playing 250 games over a 2-year span, and he hits 75 home runs and he drives in, 160 and his OPS is near 950 or something like that, good on him. That's awesome that he does it. Like, I think everybody in this area is rooting for him, as you said, Renee, from afar.
Yeah.
I think that you would prefer at this point, with your contractual obligations that you already have, plus the fact that I think you're looking for somebody to be an everyday left fielder or close to it. I think you would prefer to allow another team to figure that out.
As long as that's why
Castellanos on the block doesn't really pass my smell tests much, because you're already looking to upgrade the outfield elsewhere. And if you trade him, you're not going to get an equal major league player of value in return. You're likely getting probably prospects or maybe like a lower level major league player. And then you'd have to not only replace right field, but you're also still looking for a left fielder. So I just don't see Castellanos bringing you the value in return that would make this make sense. Now, certainly something is possible, a 3-team trade we're not thinking of, where maybe you get a major league caliber younger outfielder, but I don't know. Just passing my smell test, Nick Castellanos on the block
makes no sense.
I mean, it's 162 games. You can count on this guy. You can just put him out in right field and not worry about that position. He was one of the guys that showed up for you in the playoffs, kind of 2 years in a row. I don't hold his Diamondbacks end of the series because the whole team went off a cliff. In that Braves series, he was phenomenal. This year, he was really good in the playoffs. I just don't see, maybe there's something I'm missing, but I just don't see how moving Nick Castellanos really improves this outfield this year.
So I put the move rumor and the rumors around Nick Castellanos in the same conversation as JT Realmuto. those are two guys that it's not a problem that needs fixing right now. And it's something that it's one of those cross that bridge when we get there situations. You can't change everything. There are obviously changes that need to be made for the Phillies positionally. And so when you look at what's the priority, it's not catcher. It's not right field. It's backup catcher, I will say, yes. But it's not moving on from Nick Castellanos because, as you mentioned, and we've already heard that from out of the Phillies front office, we've already heard Dave Dombrowski mention it, and it's been echoed. Nick Castellanos is one of the pieces that are the most consistent. You can count on him literally every day. And so to move on from him, on top of needing a left fielder and a center fielder, for being honest, and then the rumors already around Alec Bohm that we're getting of him possibly being moved in a trade, it just makes too many variables. That's too many moves. So I think if you were talking about what needs to be done in a couple years, okay, Nick Castellanos is not going to be the right fielder forever. So yes, at some point you're going to have to be looking for a new right fielder, but that day is not today. That's not a priority. He's not a player that hurt you. Same thing with JT. Those are not the pieces. The pieces that need to be focused on, of course, you can always and should always add. You're going to need to add to the bullpen, especially because you're losing a Carlos Estevez and most likely Jeff Hoffman as well. Going to need to add another starting pitcher, and you absolutely need to add another left fielder and or center fielder. And so if you're looking at the landscape of everything that already needs to happen, on top of the potential of needing to bring in a new third baseman, you can't add right field to the mix too, because now that's too many changes. It's just unnecessary. It's not needed. And it's actually a rumor that, like, even when you dropped it in there, Jamie, I was kind of like, psh, I'm not even going to like feed into that because it's the same thing as JT. That's too.
Well, I think it's to the point that everything's on the table.
Everything's absolutely on the table, but moving on from a Nick Castellanos doesn't solve the problems. First of all, who are you going to get as a better right fielder? And then you're going to move
from over the free agent
outfielders, left fielder and still need a center fielder.
I think what you're looking at here is speculative conversation. And Jamie, that's why when you said, well, he's a half a world away, and how do you receive that news? I think he probably receives that news as like, okay, well, talk to me when something, talk to me when like the real fire actually gets started. If there's actual conversations about my name and trade talks, then give me a call and give me a heads up. But I think this is one of those things where speculatively you're in the off season, right? And you're looking at one of a handful of guys with fairly movable contracts, right? And Jamie, you brought up the $20 million a season. Some say overpaid. I disagree. I think it's probably market value for a player of Nick Castellanos' skill set.
And I can see why another team would have interest in 2 years, $40 million.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. It's 2 years for a vet who is going to play close to every day, barring significant injury. Did play every day last year. Peaks and valleys are there. It's a known quantity, right? Like, when Nick Castellanos struggles, the struggles are going to be real. And when Nick Castellanos thrives, he's going to have a 2-week stretch where he's one of the hottest hitters on the planet. And so having a known quantity in that regard, I think would intrigue teams. There's no doubt about it. So you're going to hear people go, hey, man, wouldn't it be nice if the Phillies would be willing to move Nick Castellanos? Yeah. He's, movable contract, $40 million left. Teams are willing to take that kind of money on as opposed to trying to hit the free agent market. I just don't think there's a whole lot past the, spark up a conversation type of rumor.
Yeah. And let me clarify before we move on, because I know we have to get into the actual rumor and Bob Nightingale's updates around Bohm and our break and everything. But I want to clarify to add on to that. I understand why other teams, to your point, Tyler, would be asking, curious, mentioning JT, Nick, because we know the guys like Bryce are truly untouchable. We've seen Nick and JT and those types of guys as untouchable as well. But I think it's okay for the Phillies, and I actually am encouraged to go back to what I was moping about a couple weeks ago, that the Phillies are, at least it sounds like, entertaining these conversations, being aggressive, like the whole concept of anyone can be moved. I'm fine with that. But in reality, don't move anyone unless that deal is one that you absolutely cannot pass on from. So I think it's fine to have the conversation. It's the offseason. Talk away. But realistically, a guy like Nick Castellanos, moving on from him, to me, opens up more holes and more problems that need fixing versus focusing on the ones that do.
All right, let's take a break, tell you about some friends here, and then we'll get into the other Garrett Crochet rumor from Bob Nightingale. And let me tell you about Dr. Glatt. If you've been hearing Johnny Marks for years tell you about Dr. Glatt, and you look at John's beautiful head of hair, you'll too know that bald is now optional. Glatt Hair Restoration is now teamed up with the Morgenstern Center. Dr. Glatt and Dr. Morgenstern, well, that's like having AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley on the same offense together. That's an unstoppable force. They take the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, and the same state-of-the-art location with the same stellar results. Anyone can buy equipment and say they do hair restoration, but only Glatt Hair offers decades of proven results with an innovative approach and delivered by leaders in the industry. They can help during all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration like laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. Glatt Hair just isn't about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments can really dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
All right. Well, you talked about all the things people can do to plan if they would like to change how they look. Well, how about you change the way how you spend and how your children especially are spending with our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union, because we all know how difficult it is in terms of financial literacy and financial responsibility to figure out how you should manage your funds. Well, with TrueMark Financial Credit Union, not only do they provide you with great rates, lower fees, as well as other benefits around their rewards points, their ability for you to manage your credit score, their mobile app where you can manage your spending, your transactions, and anything else in terms of your finances, but also for your children as well, because it's the holiday season. We keep harping on all the great things with the holidays of the food and the music and the fun. How about providing your children a chance to learn financial responsibility? With TrueMark Financial Credit Union, they have what's called the Greenlight app, which is changing the game. It's helping kids to be able to learn how to earn, learn how to spend, learn how to save themselves. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, even get an allowance, and it's all right there in the Greenlight account that they can create for free. And it's just the ultimate playbook for teaching your children financial responsibility. On top of that, your kids even get their own debit card so they can make purchases and really get a nice taste of the real world money skills. And all that can happen with you still able to be in control from your phone. So you get the peace of mind, and you also get the knowledge of knowing that your kids are getting the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. So it's like coaching your kids through their very own financial game. Great practice for the real world. And as I mentioned, with TrueMark Financial Credit Union, if you are a member, it is free for your children. So if you are interested in this holiday season, maybe gifting your children the gift of learning how to be financially responsible, you can get signed up today by visiting TrueMark.com/greenlight for more information with our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
All right. The big rumor, I guess, it's from Bob Nightingale, so take everything with a grain of salt. Let me just preface it there. But there's a lot of smoke to the Garrett Crochet fire still. Bob Nightingale over the weekend, quote, "The Phillies have spoken about Bohm and outfield prospect Justin Crawford in extensive trade talks with the Chicago White Sox for starter Garrett Crochet. But the White Sox are concerned with Bohm's struggles in the second half." They're clearly very in on Garrett Crochet. That much is clear. Alec Bohm would make a lot of sense. The initial report out of Chicago, and maybe we'll have to get our buddy Herb Lawrence on here soon, one of these days, to talk to him about it. Alec Bohm, they were looking for major league ready players. Alec Bohm is certainly that. Struggles in that certain half, sure. Justin Crawford is a really nice prospect, a top 100 player. You probably have to throw in a little something else as a sweetener there. But it does feel like, I want to say Garrett Crochet is going to be a Philly. Like, it just feels like he's going to be a Philly.
Yeah. I mean, listen, to their point, we saw Alec Bohm's struggles in the second half of the season. 4 home runs, a .681 OPS wasn't great, and how he regressed. But the reality also is, and I hate to say this, but beggars cannot be choosers. You're talking about getting an under 30 Alec Bohm. You're talking about getting Justin Crawford, one of the top prospects. On top of that, we already discussed last week on the show how there were one of the major areas that the White Sox and Phillies were struggling to meet in terms of an agreement was because the White Sox were wanting Andrew Painter. So if this is true,
well, I think originally they know that he ain't touching them.
Right. So here's the thing. It went from like, oh, well, we want Andrew Painter in the deal or else no deal, to, oh, we can have a deal without Andrew Painter, but maybe not Alec Bohm, because Bohm was not great in the second half of the season. So it's just, to me, as you mentioned, Jamie, obvious there's a good amount of conversation going back and forth there. It does seem like it's going to possibly happen, and they might have to add another prospect in. I mean, not one of our untouchables, but they might have to add in another prospect to maybe sweeten the deal, because Alec Bohm would be an obvious step up for them, in my opinion. Like, we saw Alec Bohm this past season take a major step in his career. Obviously, there's some aspects of maturity and different things that are concerning. But overall, the production he provides you for doubles, hit ball in the gaps, great third base progression that he made, as well as the RBIs he was able to rack up this season. Him and Justin Crawford would be, to me, a great deal for Garrett Crochet. As someone that followed them all season, and from what we've seen from Garrett Crochet, I feel like the deal makes sense on both sides. But it does feel like the White Sox are trying to squeeze all the juice out of whatever deal they get to get as much as they can, rightfully so. So I think you toss in another prospect, one of those lower guys, not our Andrew Painter, no Andy. Toss in somebody else outside of Aiden and Andrew, because you're already giving up one of your top prospects in Justin Crawford, and it should be a deal. But I was excited when I actually heard this. I feel like with all that we've been hearing, and I know John Heyman mentioned Garrett Crochet's getting a lot of big interest from not only, of course, the Phillies, but the Dodgers, Red Sox, and Orioles. And we know if the White Sox are looking to bring in a lot in return, the Phillies have that. The Orioles are another team, and the Red Sox especially, that have been very aggressive in what they're looking to move in order to bring in players. So make it happen. I say take the deal. Where do we sign?
So first of all, Renee, you said Alec Bohm would certainly help them. A Major League Baseball player would help the Chicago.
Correct.
Yeah.
But so here's my thing. Here's what gives me belief that the Phillies are not just very much involved in the Garrett Crochet conversation, but I think that they could be a premier
the favorites
target in the Garrett Crochet conversation.
Not
because here's what my thought process is. The White Sox asked for Andrew Painter.
Tyler, your eye, little whatever you were going through.
Man, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it just found itself to me.
All right, keep it to yourselves. Don't share the eye problems with me.
Sorry, go on about Garrett Crochet. Damn,
so,
thank you, Tyler.
They asked for Andrew Painter at the trade deadline, and they should have asked for Andrew Painter at the trade deadline, because the answer is no until you ask, right? And the Phillies, rightfully so, said absolutely not. And so, when you're having these trade negotiations, you're going to find a middle ground. And if you ask for Andrew Painter and they said no, and teams that are interested in Garrett Crochet seemingly are turning to balk at some of their top prospects. Dalton Rushing, for example, has been a conversation piece from the Dodgers for a good chunk of this Garrett Crochet sweepstakes. If they're unwilling to move from Dalton Rushing, if the Red Sox are unwilling to move from Marcelo Mayer, if the Diamondbacks are unwilling to move from Jordan Lawler, if the White Sox are unwilling, if the Orioles are unwilling to move from Kobe Mayo, if the next step down is a major league player and a still top 100 prospect, that's what makes me believe that the Phillies will be very much players in this conversation, because Alec Bohm's name has appeared in this discourse a lot. And the one thing that I think a lot of White Sox fans that I've seen, and I have watched a good bit of the CHGO White Sox stuff, because they have talked about Alec Bohm a lot, is they feel like he's a little too old for the rebuild in which that they're currently in the midst of, to the point where Herb brought up the fact that this could be an 8, 9, 10-year rebuild for the Chicago White Sox. Like, this is a true tear it down to the studs rebuild. And a guy like Alec Bohm wouldn't fit that conversation piece. But if these teams are balking at their top prospects, and the Phillies have a willingness to move a major league ready third baseman and a guy who, by all accounts,
top 100
seems
prospect,
to be pretty close to being, maybe 2 years away from being a major league outfielder. I think that you're talking about maybe this being one of the better opportunities for the White Sox to jump on. I don't think that it's the best offer, just on the onset. But if those teams that we mentioned and those players that we mentioned are not readily available or they're unwilling to move them, the next step down is where the Phillies, I think, could potentially pounce in this conversation.
Yeah, I do want to say, to add on to that, because as we're following all these updates, there is more around Luis Robert Jr. because allegedly the White Sox are looking to trade him before even possibly moving on from Garrett Crochet, because Robert, at 27 years old, listen, you talk about them wanting to get younger. You talk about them wanting to bring in a lot of prospects. He's someone that has been dealing with injuries. He's also someone that, when you look at the finances, a 6-year, $50 million contract he signed 5 years ago. So you're talking about him going into the option to pick up his club option of $20 million in 2026 and again in 2027. And for him, that is another piece they're looking to move. Now, I got a little bit intrigued because tis the season of just like throwing out these hypotheticals and potential options. But if you move on from a Justin Crawford, Alec Bohm, and you add more prospects into that deal, does it make sense to include Luis Robert Jr. in the deal, who, as a center fielder, has been struggling with his health, but could give you, I think of, again, Chris Sale. Sometimes guys just need the right team to stay healthy, to have this breakout season, a change of environment, a change of role and treatment and I don't even know, all the little things that go on behind the scenes in terms of playing. And so if the White Sox truly want a lot of prospects, are you willing to offload a few more to possibly sweeten the deal to bring in Crochet and Robert, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's, that probably becomes a 4 to 5 prospect type of deal.
Yeah.
I'd be in. I think you're buying low with Luis Robert. Garrett Crochet, to me, like, we're checking the rumor mill every day. We're checking a lot of beats out there and MLB trade rumors. I don't really hear that many other teams. I've heard the Red Sox mentioned once or twice, but as Tyler said, if there's a hesitancy to move, one of their top guys, it seems like all Garrett Crochet signs come back to Philadelphia. And if that's the case, I wonder what they do with Ranger at that point. As we talked about, probably heading to arbitration with 8.9 roughly. Maybe he gets a little bit more, but with his time missed, maybe not. I wonder what they do then. I would think Ranger gets moved, or you just roll out an absolutely filthy starting five and work Andrew Painter in, as is. And Tyler, you mentioned Justin Crawford. I'm beginning to think he's going to contribute to the big league club this year in some capacity. I don't know why, just a gut, just some vibes. So for the White Sox, I think, Justin Crawford would be a pretty nice piece. But if you do get him, you're definitely moving Luis Robert, because why would you block him?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's Luis Robert is one that GMs have mentioned is intriguing. And I know a report came out that they're saying the price tag on him is the issue, because you have to hope he can stay healthy. And of course, if he does stay healthy, you're getting it's a high risk and high reward. High price tag, have to hope he can stay healthy, but if he's able to stay healthy, what he can provide you as a center fielder, especially offensively. So I do feel like if they're going to move on from Justin Crawford, that's why I mentioned add on to the deal, throw more prospects into that mix to also make sure that you can bring Luis Robert Jr. in as well, because the White Sox have made it clear they want to move on, to your point, Tyler. And as we've heard Herb say, and again, we'll definitely have to get him on to talk about it. The White Sox want to get younger. They want to get prospects. They want to build for the future, for the next 10 years. So move on from Crochet and Robert. Let the Phillies take them off your hands. We'll give you prospects. We've got a lot of talent throughout the pipeline that can be involved in the trade and make the deal happen. I think if other teams aren't willing to take the gamble because they'd rather spend that money on, as you talk about the Dodgers and other teams, the rumors that I'm hearing from a lot of the other teams have been more around Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, other names, Alec Bregman, Alex Bregman's been thrown in there a lot. Arenado. There's been a lot of other names, but I feel like in everything that I've been following, there haven't been a lot of paper trails leading back to the White Sox as much as the Phillies are connected to them. So,
all right. Well, the other piece of the story, because we got to get to random Philly trivia here. Bob Nightingale also said they haven't had a single conversation with Scott Boras about Juan Soto yet. And then Buster Olney from ESPN says he expects the Soto offers to start pouring in this week. Over under Juan Soto being a Met by December, let's say, what is the 9th the owners meeting starts? Or the 8th maybe? I'll say over under December 7th, Juan Soto's a Met.
Well, I think it's gonna happen.
Over under Renee?
I'm just saying. Yes.
Under?
He's gonna become a Met before December 8th.
Yes, over or under?
So the under then, I guess, is technically the He's gonna be a Met before December 7th. That's in like a week. But there have been reports that have come out from various execs and GMs saying this winter meeting is not going to be like last year's winter meetings. They're expecting aggression. They felt like last year was embarrassing. Nothing happened. They're saying this year's much more anticipated of being an aggressive. A lot of teams already talking about making some moves. So I think it starts with Juan Soto. And if everybody's being this quote unquote aggressive heading into the winter meetings, I think he's going to be the first domino. But I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'm changing it. December 9th to 11th, Juan Soto gets moved. Like exactly in those days.
Okay. Tyler, he's gonna be a Met.
I'll take the. I mean, he's gonna. I've been on that. I think we've all been on that for quite some time now. I think he's going to be a Met. I think it will be after that date you set. So I guess I'll take the over. I would say somewhere between that day and the new year. I do think there will be an expedited process. You're not talking about, February and March signing here. I thought maybe initially you're talking about the first or second week of January. I do think maybe it moves up just a little bit.
Everybody seems to think this is going to be quicker moving than years past.
Well, even John Middleton said it himself. He was quoted saying the other day that I'm afraid Juan Soto wants to be in New York. I don't mind being a stalking horse, but I get the feeling we'll probably say, you know what, we're probably not going to win this. So no meeting. Middleton seems like they're kind of backing out of it altogether. And it feels like everybody knows he's going to stay in New York. It's between the Mets and the Yankees, but everybody also knows for the Mets, they're going to throw everything that people bid. Cohen has already mentioned he's going to add $50 million to the deal. So the Mets are going to lock in Juan Soto. And I think now if they start getting into official offers, because that's the next piece, it hasn't been offers. It's been more about the team, the future.
This week,
now when they start talking offers this week, it's going to move up the timeline. So yeah, why waste time? If he knows he wants to be a Met, the Mets want him, make the deal happen. Let's move on with the rest of the hot stove. Easy.
Yeah, I think this one's going to move a little bit quicker. All right, it's time to wrap up here and get tortured by Tyler in the torture chamber. It is. So, Tyler, how quickly did your father get today's?
The third one. The third hit.
We're in trouble. All right, so if you're unfamiliar with how the game is played, Tyler has a random Philly from the year 2000 to current date, and random is the key word there. And there is a series of 4 hints. You lose points the further you go along. And if you get nothing, then may God have mercy on your soul.
By the way, guys, out of a possible 20 last week, you guys accumulated 9 points.
All right. It's respectable.
So not terrible.
0.
Not terrible at all.
All right. Whenever you're ready, torture chamber master.
All right. Here's your first question.
All right.
38 appearances from 18 to 21.
By the way, pardon the
facial hair there.
Pardon the graphic down the bottom. For whatever reason, it would not let me silhouette the bottom of his pant leg down there.
He's wearing the pinstriped uniform. That's a clue.
Yeah. All right. I see facial hair, and we have bullpen arm.
Right out the gate with Antonio Bastardo.
We might as well take a guess because, Renee, we've learned that there's no penalty for taking a guess.
Correct. Is it Antonio?
No, it is not Antonio Bastardo.
I will go Who was that guy? Ramos? Udubre Ramos?
It is not Adubre Ramos.
Okay. All right. Next guess.
Well, also, I want to say thank you to our friends that are tuned in over at Roku. You guys can check us out at allphly.com. We've got more.
That,
yeah, Xfinity, Roku, everybody that's streaming us live, head on over to our website to finish up Guess That Random Philly. And, of course, for more of our updates each and every day, articles and things. We got to tell them all about that after this game.
All right, Tyler, what's hint number 2 here? Pitched for 3 teams in 2024. 3 teams.
Wait. Oh, my gosh. What was the former Philly we kept talking about that kept getting moved? How about what about Michael Lorenzen? How many teams did he pitch for?
I think 2, but he wasn't here from 2018 to 2021.
He was here in 2018 and 2021.
Yes. Yeah, the 38 appearances with the Phillies over those years.
Okay. No, there's another one, too, that we talked about this season that was constantly moving. Oh, this is going to kill me. What about
De Los Santos?
Who you got?
Enyel De Los Santos.
Jamie?
No way.
No
way.
Oh. The beard.
Really? What? How did you know?
I was trying to think of random ass Phillies bullpen arms. I will say this: the hints did not do a ton for me. I was just kind of throwing darts there.
Oh, that's fair. I did
so
too.
That
actually.
Was I kind of lucked into that one. I'll be honest.
Let's read the last 2 hints for people that didn't get a chance to see it, because I want to give our podcast friends a chance. So we already read the first 2 about the 38 appearances from 2018 and 2021, pitched for 3 teams in 2024. And the last 2 hints we didn't have to get to because Jamie came no sleep. Jamie worked really well today. Ooh. 2018 Futures Game and AAA All-Star, and then was acquired in a trade for Freddie Galvis. Great hints, Tyler. This was actually
Tyler.
Pretty good.
I cannot say I was up to 2024 date with Enyel De Los Santos. What 3 teams did he pitch for?
So he ended up pitching for the San Diego Padres.
Okay. Out of camp?
He was with the San Diego Padres. He threw 5 games with the New York Yankees, and he pitched 15 games with the Chicago White Sox. In total this year, he ended up throwing 64 games to a 5.2 ERA, a 1-2 record. 64 innings pitched, a 1.4 whip. He walked 25 over 64. He also gave up 38 hits. Did strike out 66 over 64, though.
Okay.
Not bad.
Okay.
And Elephant in the Room points out he got non-tendered the other day. I would think when your ERA is north of 5. That's Wait, so is this the first time I beat Papa Zuli?
I think it is.
First and last, I think.
Yeah.
And that was just blind luck throwing darts, so I can't really even take credit for it.
Oh, own that win, Jamie.
Yeah, but like he's earning that on merit. I threw some stuff at the wall.
You're just guessing.
I'll take it though.
Jamie, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
Whatever the method is, it works for you.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us today. Please, though, Wednesday, if anybody's around the Center City area, swing by Reading Terminal Market. We would love to meet some of you. I'll be having some beers at Molly Malloy's. It's become one of my favorite pre-Thanksgiving traditions. So hopefully we get to meet some of you. If not, we'll be broadcasting 1:00 that day from Reading Terminal Market. But the rest of the week is the same. We'll be broadcasting same time, same place, 11 a.m. here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Thanks to Tyler behind the scenes today. Great random Philly. We can only go down from here. For Renee Washington, I'm Jamie Lynch. Thanks for hanging out with us today, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.
We all silly like the mayor.